Welcome to this special edition of Triton Talk. My name is Marianne Mitchell, Associate AD for Communications at UMSL, and I'm super excited to have with us today the Director of Athletics at UMSL, Lori Flanagan. Lori, thanks for joining me this week.
Hi, Marianne. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So obviously the big news this week is the GLVC's decision to postpone fall sports. For us at soccer and volleyball, they'll be moving to the spring. Kind of what was your reaction to what the conference finally formalized?
Well, I would say that, we've been waiting for some decision to happen all summer long. It was just a matter of when. And from an institutional standpoint, I've been in touch with Dr. Sobolik quite a bit. And our actual initial decision was to really ask to try and delay the decision until the 1st of October. We really felt that with the 2 months extra time, that it may have allowed us to come up with other options, whether it's different type of testing or flatten the curve a little bit, get our kids back to campus, kind of self-quarantine for a little bit, get our coaches acclimated a little bit. But when the presidents got together and decided to vote on Thursday, it was more of the risk that they were taking at each institution to try and start this or delay it until October. So, as many people know, the sports have been categorized as a high risk, a medium risk, and a low risk. And the high risks are obviously our 2 soccers and our volleyball, along with basketball. So when you really look at the high risk and what that entailed, from testing every 2 weeks to testing 72 hours before competition, it became pretty obvious that the presidents and chancellors of each university were not willing to take that risk. The cost involved with that was unbelievable, depending on the size of your athletic department, and we don't even have football. So had you added that as the other high risk sport, it just became a manageable nightmare. Trying to get these kids tested, second of all, trying to get results, and then trying to conform with the 72-hour rule just didn't work. So we're excited that everybody can still come back to campus, they can practice. Our coaches are excited. They've been anxious to get them back into practice. We will be as safe as we can with temperature checks and masks and social distancing to the best of our ability. So the decision, although it was a decision made, we had to get there, and now we've got a month to really plan to get our kids back in a safe environment.
Yeah, the good news is still that those student athletes will be coming back to campus and can still do some form of activity in their sport.
And I think that's something that I've really appreciated. Our chancellor is very aggressive in trying to get everybody back to campus, and she's committed to keeping our campus open as long as she can. We're dealing with NCAA rules, we're dealing with university rules, we're dealing with system rules, we're dealing with the health and county in St. Louis. So there's a lot of things you have to juggle right now to try and make it safe. And we're doing the best that we can with her support and the university's support. So yeah, it'll be fun. We've heard from kids all summer long that they want to get back and hang out with their friends. And it's the same for us. We have not seen our staff since March 15th, other than Zoom calls. So although we're going to try and temper the reunions, it will be nice to see people.
Yeah, definitely. So as an athletic director, what has kind of been the biggest challenge for you in guiding the department through this pandemic?
It's the unknown, Marianne. I would think it's been every day there's been something different. Like last Wednesday, we had kind of a temporary vote on what we thought was going to happen. So you start planning, and on Thursday, that vote completely changed. We've had pretty significant budget reductions, and working through that, our goal in our budget reductions were to keep all of our sports and keep everybody that's employed with us working. And that took months to work through all of that with the university's support and how we're going to move forward. So those are big challenges. I think though the biggest piece was just talking with people and keeping our staff together and making sure that everybody was okay, because it's scary. It's scary for us every day to go to the grocery store, and I can't imagine when we get all of our kids back and our coaches back, it's going to be a little bit of, we've got to hit the pause button and say, hey, we really need to follow the rules. And I am a rule follower, So it's really hard for me when we put a rule in place, you're always going to have exceptions to the rule. And right now we can't have exceptions, or we're going to have to shut it down. And that would probably be the biggest disappointment. Is we're going to have a positive. We're going to have something, but it's how we work through that. That's been the biggest challenge. And like I said, the county just put some new rules in place that go into effect this Friday. So we have to adhere to that, and every day is changing. So we really want to make sure people are going to be really patient and understanding, and for me, hopefully follow the rules. Yeah.
For sure. Now, one silver lining may be that, this is the first year we're going to have cross country, and cross country is kind of a lower risk sport. So they're still able to compete in their season this fall. It's going to be a little bit more exciting when you have a first year program. They're still able to compete, and there's going to be a lot of excitement, I would imagine, around, Steve and his team.
Well, when we found out that cross country was really the lone sport that really could run a schedule this fall, we kind of joked with Steve, like, oh my gosh, now we can all come and watch, but I don't know if they're even going to let spectators on the course. That's the unknown as well. But we have anywhere from 17 to 20 kids coming on both the men's and women's side. Some are pretty accomplished high school runners. It'll be a new challenge for us. Steve's a very experienced coach, so he's going to make that transition really, really easy. We are excited to actually compete in cross country. We don't quite know what that's all about. We actually are starting to talk to our golf course on campus just to see if that's a safe place for us to train. Little things. Do they run in a mask? Do they run with gaiters? We've got to buy them outfits to run in. We don't even have any uniforms. So thank goodness Steve is, like I said, well prepared. And we're excited. You're excited. You have something this fall. I can imagine. Sure. I mean, when we looked at our fall schedule and we have nothing to do other than those cross country meets, it's we're going to get some great pictures if we can be out on the course. So I think right now, for us to start a sport in a season when there's no other sports is probably ideal for them.
Definitely. And you are one of 2 female athletic directors in the Great Lakes Valley Conference, kind of like myself, you're in a position that's mostly male dominated. So talk a little bit about that and how in your position you can show that athletics administration is just for males.
Well, I'm going to go back to Marianne. I grew up with 3 brothers. So I've always been the lone female. I was in my prior position at St. Louis University. I was the only female on the administrative staff my entire time there. So I've gotten used to being in kind of a male-dominated world, and it takes you have to build the trust of the men around you. You have to be supportive of who they are, because it's more about running your program than the gender that you are. However, when you're asked a specific question about sports or how you manage people or how you run athletics, you have to be really prepared, kind of like what you do. You have to be really prepared. You have to be really attentive to the details of what you do, because the minute there is a mistake, or there's a minute, the first time that there's something that falls through the cracks, you never want it to be pointed at you as you didn't get it done because you're a female versus male. Probably my biggest challenge, Marianne, is my size, that I'm not very tall. And my dad always warned me of that. I'm not very tall, I'm not very big. So when you're dealing with people that expect to see a male in the profession, there are difficult times when I'm going to say a little old lady walks up and says, let's do it this way. And people look at you like, who are you? So I've had to overcome that by just being a little bit more prepared. Try to be as professional as you can. Try to get people to understand that you're pretty good at your job, but it's still difficult, because when you sit in a room with all men, you really have to make sure that you know what you're talking about. And that opportunity to make a mistake never goes away. So like I said, for you, it's the same thing. We're a pretty small department, but majority of our administrators are female. So that's really unique to our school. Our chancellor's female, our provost is female, I'm female, you're female, our SWA is female, our faculty athletic representative is female. So right now we're probably one of the most unique schools in the country that we have that many females, and yet we all still have to deal with just making sure we're really good at our jobs.
And I would say that, you know, a lot of people would say you are good at your job. I mean, you've been there for 14 years at UMSL, 12 as athletic director. And when you kind of look back at those 12 years of what UMSL Athletics has done, whether it be, you know, seeing some programs succeed on the course and obviously in the classroom, but from facility upgrades to, you know, adding sports like swimming and track and field, when you kind of look back at those 12 years, what are some of the things that stand out to you as some of your top moments or top memories or top achievements even?
I would say coming to UMSL, you know, and it's unfortunate, I always kind of looked at Division II. It's not UMSL, but it was Division II. It was the structure of the level that they were at. You always looked at that as just kind of, for me, it was a sign on the way to the airport, because I was at St. Louis University for all those years, and I never really gave the school or the division credit. So now you step into that world, and Division II is probably a little bit more rewarding than Division I, because you really have kids that want to be here, and you really do feel that every day you make a difference. And so when you leave every night after work and you think, what have you done? It's really about the kids, or it's about the people that you meet. And I wouldn't say that you didn't have that at Division I, but it's different. So it's been fun to put the pieces of the puzzle together to try and build an athletic program that's been competitive and has resources. I feel we've got a great staff and tremendous coaching group that have been at Division I or have worked really, really hard at Division II. We've had a lot of success. And, you know, I was telling you the other day, I mean, it's the little things. We've kind of, the motto that I've always taken is it's one geranium at a time is the way we've kind of looked at it. I'm big on presentation. I'm big on when you walk into our building, it's clean, it's colorful, it's full of pictures. It's, you know, so the other day when we were talking about how many likes we have on our Facebook page, or whatever you want to call it. You know, our goal, social media, yeah. My goal used to be that we would have 2,000 people that were following us. And that was a goal. We're over 3,100 now. And that's just, it's a tribute to the kids. It's a tribute to the work that you've done. It's the sports that we've added. Thank goodness that we've been able to add swimming and cross country. And so we've grown. So it's been a piece. I mean, I'm a real facilities person. I love to see our facilities look good. I do a lot for facilities just because again, it's one opportunity to make an impression in how we look, but it's also the success of the kids. And I think, you know, getting a conference championship or getting a team to the NCAAs or getting an All-American or an academic All-American, or saying that we have, you know, such a high graduation rate, those are really accomplishments that sometimes go unnoticed by a lot of people, but the kids remember, and that's the really important thing.
Kind of going back to the facilities there a little bit, we do see you out there with your sweeper blowing off leaves off the tennis court and out on the softball or baseball field pulling a tarp. I mean, those are things that maybe not a lot of other athletic directors do, but you do. And I think that kind of sets a good example for the rest of the staff.
Well, my dad taught me, I was a teacher for 9 years, and my dad taught me that if you're not willing to do the work of everybody in the school, then you don't understand where they come from. So I'm criticized often that I do a lot of extra things, but it's important for me to know that the kids see me doing what we expect them to do. It's important for me to know that our staff will see things that I expect them to do. And if I'm not willing to do them, then I can't ask anybody else to do them. So yeah, there's not a weed that I'll walk by that I won't pull. And everybody knows that. Amanda Scott gives me a hard time about the trash, but there's not a trash can that's full on our campus, because to me, those are just really important things. And it's minor, it's sometimes stupid conversations we get in, but those are the things that people will remember when they come to visit our campus. So I don't mind it. Actually, it's kind of a relief. It's kind of like my physical activity every day. when you get old, you find something to do to keep you active.
And then when it's nice outside, you can work on your tan a little bit too, right?
I do work on my tan. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yeah, that's never changed. The length I'm outside, but the golden brown is what I try and get. Mm-hmm.
And then finally, a little bit about Lori Flanagan. Tell us your path to becoming an AD. Growing up, did you play sports? Is that what got you interested, or what was your interest in athletics and working in athletics?
Well, because of my age, Marianne, I've mentioned that several times a day. I was a Title IX child. I didn't have athletics in high school. My dad was a high school art teacher, so the first year we had a girls basketball team. He helped me, along with like 6 of my friends, petition the principal to get a girls basketball team. So I played my senior year in high school. That was my first interaction. Otherwise, I grew up with 3 brothers, and we lived in the country, so we played sports. I could throw a football and punt the football pretty well because that was the sport we played. But I always knew that was something I really, really enjoyed. And I go back to when I was in 8th grade, you had to fill out a form as to what you wanted to be when you grew up. And I had said at the time I wanted to work in college athletics. And my dad always said, no, you can't do that. He always reminded me of my size, and he just said, I don't think that's right for you. And so, of course, most people try and do exactly opposite of what your parents tell you. So, of course, I went back and got my master's and loved being on a college campus and loved really working in athletics. And was fortunate, really, my first full-time job in college athletics was at a Division I institution. And worked my way up. I started in compliance, and that was kind of the way women got into the job, was what job you were able to push paper and stay organized and kind of be behind the scenes of a male athletic director. And that's the way I got started. And loved it, just loved the college experience, loved the competition. Division I was fun and exciting, but then you kind of learned a little bit more about it. And I think the things, even though we play games, that's really what we do every day. We play games and we publish it and we take great pictures. And in the pandemic, everybody realizes how much they miss sports and like it, and how that's the way they're going to get back to being normal. For us, we are not normal right now, and yet how we're going to try and get something back organized this fall is going to be a challenge. But how I got in the profession was just using sports as a platform to do something you like. It's being able to do something that kids are good at, and they can continue to use that as a way to go to school, I think is a huge, huge opportunity. Just like, my dad, I said he was an art teacher, and people that were creative in art were able to use that as a platform to go to school. And it's the same thing with athletics. So that's how I got started. I've never looked back. I've enjoyed it, but it's also being outside. It's being able to have a conversation with male or female. If you're interested in sports, it doesn't matter what gender you are, somebody's going to stop and talk to you. And I think that's just the way, for me, society has allowed me to do a lot of things that I really enjoy and work through. You have ups and downs, you have highs and lows, you have successes. We have had our share of disappointments. I remember driving hours to watch our men's golf team. Marianne, you and I got out of the car and they just got eliminated from the event. I mean, we drove hours to get there that day. Literally got out of the car. We weren't even out of the parking lot, and we found out that they lost that round, and we got physically back in the car and drove back. We were not there but 15 minutes. And that was disappointing. And then you fast forward to your first conference softball championship, and we were just ecstatic. And then last year when men's basketball had that winning shot on that night to get us into the final game of the conference championship, I mean, those were some really real highs, and it's fun to be around the kids. So that's just the way my life has always been. If I wasn't in college athletics, I'd own my own lawn mowing service and be mowing lawns right now. So it's kind of the same. It's all about the same.
Well, definitely. I know that like you, I miss sports. I think everybody else around the world misses sports, and hopefully it won't be too much longer until we can see some action from the UMSL Tritons.
Yeah, I hope so. It's we're going to practice. We're going to practice carefully, but we're going to practice, and the kids are going to be back in school. That's a big thing. We're trying to be as normal as we can with them, and we're excited. We miss them. I mean, we had a Zoom call with all of our international kids the other day, and that was just fun to see them. It's fun to see them, yet they're in Sweden, or they're in England, or they're in Brazil. I mean, it's amazing to know that they're within a computer screen, but they're hundreds of thousands of miles away, and they're excited to come back. And the same things with our kids here in the United States. We're really looking forward for them to come back, and we will get back to where we need to be, but we're going to have to be patient. So that's where we're at today.
Well, Lori, thank you so much for joining us on Triton Talk this week. It was definitely a pleasure to talk to you and learn some more things.
Thanks, Marianne. You have a good day.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.